This is just a video about how I went about to set my stock rear suspension on my 2020 Tri-Glide. It's not for everyone, but it worked for me. I'm a numbers guy and I want to see the numbers, so show me the numbers. Okay, let's move in here and see what the owner's manual says about the 3 preload conditions. Adjust the rear suspension, 1, to suit load conditions, 2, riding style, and 3, personal comfort. Increase the preload to accommodate additional weight and cargo. Reduce preload to accommodate less weight and cargo. Do not exceed maximum gross vehicle weight restriction or gross axle weight restriction. You can do the alternative and buy/upgrade to a so-called better suspension, but for those of us who want to work with what we got and fine-tune it into a comfortable ride, this might be interesting for you. Now, there's all kinds of road surfaces out there, from freeways to residential streets. Now, I know that you know what I'm talking about, from potholes to washboardy to bumpy to gnarly, smooth, nice streets. It was on this 10-mile stretch of highway where I was able to do my experimenting on the rear suspension preload adjustable knob from milepost 53 to milepost 63. Okay, so here is the rear suspension scale adjusting knob. Right now I got it set on 10, is where I've found my baseline, but for every crank, now this is half a crank right here, you can feel them click right there, and then you got another crank there, and now it's on 11 if you notice. But for every one full rotation, there's half, there's 1, there's half, there's 2, and that'll be on 9. So for every full rotation you get, it goes down or up 1. And again, my baseline was set at 10. This 10-mile stretch of highway is extremely rough. It's head bobbing, eye popping, washboardy, helmet buffeting. Not even automobiles can escape this torturous 10-mile stretch. And this is what the highway looks like. It's just a cement highway. It looks normal. You would never be able to tell it was so rough. But it really is. Now, I use the factory recommendations of 26 pounds of pressure in the rear tire and 36 pounds of pressure in the front tire. Some would suggest that you lower your tire pressure to your rear tire pressure to 22 pounds to make a more softer, comfortable ride. And that works. I've done that and it does work. However, by doing so, you change the dynamics of your rear suspension. Okay, I'm going to go to the extreme here. Imagine having 26 pounds of pressure in your rear tires. Then imagine only having 12 pounds of pressure in your rear tires. The characteristics of the rear suspension changes dramatically. Now, I know what you're saying. 26 pounds of pressure to 22 pounds of pressure is only 4 pounds. That's not going to affect your suspension. Well, that's where I have to disagree with you. 4 pounds of rear tire pressure will totally change the baseline that you just established. Okay, this stretch of road is so rough that the county finally acknowledged it. I've been riding this road for years and it's been rough. So here they got signs up now, rough road. Here, motorcycles used, extreme caution, and then another one up further, a lighted one. And it says next 10 miles, use caution, rough road ahead. Now, you could use 22 pounds of pressure in the rear tires to establish a baseline and you would do well. You could use 30 pounds of pressure. I just used 26 pounds of pressure because that was the factory recommendation. Just a side note, when I lowered to 22 pounds of pressure in my rear tires, my fuel economy went from 37 plus miles per gallon to 33 plus miles per gallon. And I'm a pretty well mild-mannered rider. And this is just a Google Earth picture of the milepost markers I was running over. I use this portion of highway to fine-tune my rear suspension adjustable scale knob to find a baseline for the best comfortable ride over this 10-mile stretch. Not that there was a comfortable ride attainable, but this was the best setting. Once I found the baseline, I was able to move on to other experiments, such as smooth and rough city streets, smooth and rough freeways, 4-lane divided highways, loaded and unloaded, various types of service, rough and smooth. I started out this baseline experiment on 0 on the adjusting knob, and I did the 10 miles down and returned to the starting point 10 miles later. Then I upped the knob to 5, and then I did the round trip. And then I put it on 10, and then I did it on 15. And then I did it on 20. When I hit 20, it was just extremely too rough of a setting, and I couldn't even get through the 10 miles. I had to lower it to finish 10 miles there. And I finally narrowed it down to between 8 and 10, with 10 the final outcome over this tumultuous piece of highway here. My established baseline was 10. My weight is 180 pounds, so I divided 180 by 10. And I come up with 18. So for every 18 pounds added to the rear axle, I adjusted my rear suspension adjustment scale knob 1 number higher. Okay, so anything approximately from the back of the rear cylinder straight up, draw an imaginary line. Anything that way will be weight on the front axle, and anything that way will be weight on the rear axle. So that means anything behind the center line, driver, passenger, armrests, saddlebags, backrest bracket, luggage rack, anything behind that imaginary center line will be weight on the back axle. A good example would be my wife weighs 130 pounds, so I divided that by 18 and I came up with 7.2222. So I would increase my rear suspension adjustment scale knob 7.222 numbers higher than my riding baseline of 10, and that increase amounted to 17.2222. In the real world, this is how that worked. More than once, we would go out riding, and she could feel if I left it on my baseline of 10 and had not readjusted it to 17.2222. Okay, take into consideration how much things weigh. Tools, 3.4 pounds. Sitting chair, 3.2 pounds. Second sitting chair, 3.2 pounds. First aid kit, 1 pound. Helmet, 3.4 pounds. Gerbing heated jacket, 1.8 pounds. It's a science. This is a science. It all adds up. Saddlebag, 6 pounds. Armrest with bracket, 7 pounds. Backrest, 3.5 pounds. Backrest bracket, 6 pounds. Rear luggage rack, 2 pounds. Tour pack lid organizer, 2 pounds. Tour pack wall organizer, 1 pound. Rear trunk lid organizer, 1 pound. 1 24-ounce Propel lemon water, 1 pound 10 ounces. 1 6-pack of 16-ounce Splash Nestle's lemon water, 6.9 pounds. Harley Davidson overnight or week-long luggage. I pack light. Mine weighs about 7 pounds. She packs light. Hers weighs about, well, I'm not even going to go there. Okay, what about our everyday riding gear? How much does it weigh? Well, let me show you. 2.9 pounds, Joe Rocket, lightweight, medium to light weather with the zip out liner. Joe Rocket lightweight pants for light to medium weather with the zip out liner, 1.6 pounds. Lightweight Joe Rocket jacket liner, 1.2 pounds. Field sheer heavy duty all weather rain proof pants with a zip in liner and air vents everywhere, 4.2 pounds. And my favorite, this First Gear Kilimanjaro all weather heavy duty rain proof jacket with the liner in it is 5.75 pounds. Holy mackerel, Batman, that's a lot of weight. So that's how I fine-tuned my rear suspension adjustment scale knob to find the best comfortable ride for me. And as you start adding weight to the rear axle, you'll want to crank the knob up accordingly. I imagine that's why a lot of people don't like the stock suspension, because they never could fine-tune it to their satisfaction. It's very delicate. For every so many pounds you put on there, it will change the characteristics of the suspension. So if you're going to go on a long haul and you're loaded down with weight, you'll know to turn it up higher. It takes constant fiddle farting with it all the time when you change your weights like that, and people just don't want to do it. So if you know you're just going to be riding around town and it's got rough streets, you might want to, my baseline is 10, so I'll probably crank mine up to 13, maybe 14. And if I'm going to be out on a highway by myself, I'll crank it back down to my baseline of 10. But you're constantly adjusting that thing. If you don't, you'll probably have a rough ride. So that's how I fine-tuned my rear suspension adjustment scale knob to reach a baseline to make it the best comfortable ride for me. So the Washington State Patrol here pulled over here just to see if I was okay. Thought maybe I broke down. They had went by about 2 or 3 times, and I was there for a long time. But they were just checking up on me. Very nice officer. I really appreciate it, and I really appreciate law enforcement. And here I caught a couple motorcycle riders, fully loaded. They're probably heading to Sturgis. They were real friendly. They waved. Looked like big Harley dressers.